Hey everyone, welcome back. This is the third video in my Essential Guitar Skills series. Today we're going to talk about left hand technique. My name's Mr. Saric, and welcome to my guitar class. I'm going to start by talking a little bit about how the guitar works. So you can see the strings are being stretched between these 2 points. Now, the string length is actually determined by the nut, where the string crosses that, and the bridge, right here. Now, there's nothing else touching the string in between these 2 points. So what we want to do then is to change the note, we are going to change the length of the string. And to do that, we need to use the frets. The frets are these little metal things that are vertical along the length of the neck. So what you need to do is place your finger on the string and push it down until it makes contact with the fret. Once it does that, it changes the note. Hear the difference. And the shorter the string, the higher the pitch is going to be. Now to get our left hand in the right position. The first thing we're going to talk about is the wrist. As you place the hand under the neck of the guitar, your wrist should be fairly straight. Okay? We don't want any of this, and we don't want any of that, right? So if you're playing too far like this, or too far like that, it's going to be a problem. If you haven't heard of carpal tunnel syndrome, this is actually quite common in guitarists who are playing incorrectly. What happens is the muscles that control your fingers are actually up in your forearm. There are tendons that run the length of your forearm and through this little notch, which is called the carpal tunnel. So as they pass through this carpal tunnel, this is the tight spot. And if you think about a rope and a brick, if your wrist is the brick and the tendon is the rope, it's rubbing back and forth. And if it was a rope, it would tend to fray. In the case of our tendons, they swell, and then you really will have trouble moving your fingers, and it'll be really painful if that happens to you. So you want to make sure that your wrist is fairly straight. If there's a little bit of a bend, that's okay. Before we get started, I'd like to go over the finger numbers. So the thumb on the guitar does not count as a finger. So the index finger is the first finger, middle finger is the second finger, ring is third, pinky is fourth. 1, 2, 3, 4. From here, we need to put our thumb vertical, and it is going to go in the middle of the back of the neck of the guitar. And we're going to place it in the vicinity of the first fret and the second fret. So right in there, but right in the middle of the back. Now, the fingers are going to curl up and over, and for right now, we're going to aim for the 6th string. The reason we're going to do that is because the 6th string is a little bit thicker, so it'll be harder to push down, which is actually quite good to exercise your fingers and build some strength. But it'll also make sure that your thumb stays in the correct position. What we want to do is to push down the string. So we're going to pinch that string with our finger until it touches the fret. At that point, we can pick and hear the sound difference. The big thing here is you want to make sure that you're right on the tip of your finger. It is going to hurt. I'm not going to lie to you. You want to make sure that you're taking this fairly slowly as you're getting started, because if you practice too much, what'll end up happening is you'll just rip the skin off of your finger. So we want to do some damage in order for the body to respond and build calluses. But if you get to the point of ripping the skin off, you're not going to be able to practice for days. So it's a little bit counterproductive. Now I've been holding my hand on here, and the nice thing is the guitar gives you some feedback. So when you take your finger off, you'll actually notice a line for where that string was. When you're practicing, you should look at the lines in your fingers and make sure that they're actually on the tips of your fingers. For our first exercise, we're going to use 0 as the open string, so no fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4, as you see along the bottom of the screen. For each one of these, we're going to hold it for 4 counts. And the big thing here to remember is to use the tips of your fingers. So once you put your finger on and you pick, you need to keep it on for the full duration of the note. Okay? Try it with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Now, something you can do with that exercise is to randomize the order of those notes. So just at random, pick some different numbers between 0 and 4 and try and play them using whole notes. The next mechanic I want to talk to you about takes us full circle right back to what I said at the beginning of the video. When you place your finger on the string and you push it into the fret, you are essentially shortening the string. Well, what that means is that anything behind that finger now no longer matters. If you take a look, here's a chord that I can play, and I've covered all the strings here. Notice it's still ringing. But if I was to touch anywhere in front of it, I can actually stop all of the strings. Now you may ask, how is that going to benefit me in playing the guitar? Well, if we were to start with our 4th finger here, and we wanted to do 3rd, 2nd, 1st right after it, we can actually prepare those fingers. And that way, we'll just have to take these fingers off instead of having to think about putting each finger on individually. We put them all down. And then we go. Instead of. You'll see that both of those ways work. But when you prep your fingers, it is certainly a lot easier to get that down. Alright, so what you see going across the screen at the bottom right now is the pattern that we're going to play. Those are the fingers. So we're going to start with our open string, go to the 1st finger, the 3rd finger. We're going to leave the 1st finger there because we're coming back to it, and then we're going to go to the open string. Okay? So open, 1st finger, 3rd finger, 1st finger. Alright, I'd like you to pause the video and give that a try, remembering to hold that 1st finger down. The last thing I want to talk to you about today is a little bit more of an advanced technique and something that many of you may not have thought of. So let's take a look at the first example. In this example, we have myself playing, but if you look at the technique, it looks erratic. I'm all over the place, my fingers are flailing. And in this case, you would be struggling to even get the notes on time. Now let's take a look at the second example. In this one, it is calculated. You'll notice that the fingers are moving exactly where they need to be. They're moving independently, and that is one of the biggest things, is we want that independence in our fingers instead of when one finger moves, they all flail away from the guitar. Not to say that this first technique is terrible, and it's not to say that you are a bad player if you do this. Because doing this technique, I was able to get into university, playing university level pieces. But once I heard about the quiet fingers, if you will, this is when I started to realize that there was a lot more potential for me to become a better guitar player. Now, in order to get your fingers from the first example to the second example, what we need to do is grab the guitar like you normally would, and with your fingers, really focus on the finger that you want to move. And once you move it, try and make sure that none of the other fingers are moving. So in that instance, it's first finger, second finger, third finger, fourth finger. Okay? And you want to stay fairly close to the strings of the guitar, because the further away you are, the more time it takes to put a finger down. Okay, just to recap. First, keep your wrist fairly straight. Second, thumb in the middle of the back of the neck. Third, use the tips of your fingers. Fourth, the note that is closest to the bridge is going to be the one that rings on each string. So nothing behind it matters. Fifth, again, is the efficiency of that movement and making sure that only the finger that you want to move is the one that is moving. If you liked the video, hit the like button and please consider subscribing. Also, if you have any guitar-related questions, leave them in the comments below and that will guide my future videos. Thanks for watching.